We're good? Well, good morning. I will call the meeting, the Committee of a Whole meeting to order. Is there any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, then we will move on to staff reports. The Municipal Development Plan Public Engagement Update. Good morning, Andrew. No, it isn't.
Maybe it's just really echoey in here. Okay, great. Nope. Perfect. Do you need me to repeat any of that? No, for sure. For the viewers online, I've been one of those, and I recognize it's annoying when I can't hear anything. All right. So just to summarize the engagement objectives here, building on the engagement that was done for the 50-year community vision, with specific focus on land use growth and development, prioritizing public input as a driver of conversation topics, flow, and future engagement efforts. We want to use a variety of engagement tools that will appeal to a broad diversity of people and groups that we want to hear from. And we want to make sure we're collecting input that will be useful to the development of the MDP, and we will clearly incorporate that into the final document. So the engagement tools and events, we've broken this up essentially into 3 phases. So the first phase is pre-engagement and direction setting. And so we have a selection of engagement tools here. So we actually already have the What If Wetaskiwin webpage live. So it's got some information on it right now, and it will be kind of the web-based landing page if people are looking for information and how to get engaged. We had the pub trivia night last week, which I think was a great success. It was just kind of a soft entry into the engagement aspects of this. We didn't collect a lot of information, but it was more providing information, really just putting the bug in people's ears. Coming up, we will have an online survey and some pop-up information sessions, and so these are geared towards high level, as I mentioned, letting public input direct the conversation. So that's what these events are geared towards, is to collect those that high level information, essentially asking, what do you want to provide input on? What do you think is important to have in the municipal development plan? So the results of those engagement tools will guide the next phase, so that in-depth engagement. So this is where we'll dig into those things that the public has highlighted for us. So we've got feedback questions with some more specific surveys. Also probably a GIS survey as well that BNA will help develop. And then we've got a photo contest. We're thinking this might actually go forward maybe towards the summertime because it's just a little nicer outside. But the main information gathering items here are the workshop, the targeted interviews, and targeted stakeholder meetings. And the community workshop there as well. So these will all be Heavily, we'll have a lot of assistance from BNA on these, and they'll do the heavy lifting as far as leading the actual engagements. And then phase 3, ultimately, BNA will provide a What We Heard report, and we'll include all that information on the What If Wetaskiwin webpage to make sure that we're closing that loop so that the public knows that they have been heard. And then following that, we will be bringing the MDP forward, drafting it up based on the input, as well as all the other technical and background that we've been doing already. And we will hope to be bringing that to council in the fall. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Questions? Wow, you got off easy today.
Great, for a Monday morning. Love to hear it.
Andrew, thank you very much. Very thorough.
Sorry, before you go, maybe you could just tell everybody how many points you shaved off the celebrity team?
Oh, I think what I heard is the celebrity team said they wanted to let someone else win.
That's right,
So
yeah. I just wanted on public record that that's what happened. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I was really impressed with how many people participated in that. I think everybody there had a good time.
Job well done. Item B, 3B, 2023 budget process and schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to acknowledge that I think I did let Tyler down at the trivia night too, with some of the things I should have known that I didn't. So if we do it again, Andrew, I'll be more prepared. It was a lot of fun. So administration has gone through, we're trying really hard to get a stable budget process in front of council. And we had gone through and had some discussions about what we need to provide, some dates and targets we need to hit, and set the schedule for this year. After this, I will be turning over the budget process back to finance, so they'll be the ones leading this going forward, but we did want to get a little bit of input from the committee before we finalize this and start heading into our dates. So I have attached the budget process for council to understand what we go through. So the budget principles are just things that are going to, tools that we're going to use as we develop out the budget process. Now, a few years ago we had started, when you look at item 4 and we talk about CPI versus MPI with City of Edmonton, and we continue to try and move towards MPI because it more accurately reflects what's happening in municipal governments. Some of the other key items in here, of course, PBB review will be in front of council before the next budget, so that's going to be a key factor that ties into this. And then a lot with our assets. So we're trying to get in all of our asset data into proper programs that can help inform what our 10, 20, 30, even 100 year, we have some, some assets that go out potentially 100 years if we take care of them. So we're going to continue to develop that out. And then, of course, looking at optimizing our capital investments. So budget principles are there. And then setting the direction from council was the area that we really needed some input from council. So there's a lot of blanks in here, obviously. So MPI is going to be our main driver. Assessment growth. Each year, finance will get an update from our assessors as to what they anticipate is going to be our growth. So we'll have that number in for you before budget. Of course, each year we have to review our franchise agreements and what 1% increase or decrease would be, and we don't get those until later in the year, so we'll probably just be getting that right before budget. The infrastructure tax reserve targets, that's been a lot of discussion with council, I know, and through the last budget with the addition of extra funds. That's something that we're going to be focused on, but again, getting those assets into our system and putting together a proper life cycle plan is going to be ongoing for a few years, so we're not going to have the full picture right away, but we're going to keep building on it as we go. The business cases, moving forward, business cases and project charters are going to have a direct link to council's new strategic plan once it gets approved, and so you'll be able to see that link as we go through those. And then any other major directions that council wants us to consider. So are we looking at certain targets for tax increases, or anything else that you think we need to consider while we're working through this budget process. That's my question to you today, but I'll go through the budget timeline. So we're getting ready to do like our budget kickoff in May and start to get staff ready and prepared for what they need to do. So in June, we'll have all of their budgets brought forward to us, proposed budgets. And then we plan to present to council in August, go to public consultation in September, and then Peace Hills Utilities will come in September and propose utility rates to council for September. We'll have outside agencies come in September, and then you'll receive your Q3 update in October. And then we would be looking for council to approve the capital budget in October as well, so that we can get the tenders ready for January 1st. And then we're planning for November, so we have not actually set the dates yet. We probably want to consult with council to make sure there's no vacations or other obligations right now, and then we can set those dates sometime within the next month and nail those down for staff. So that's what we're aiming for with a budget approval in November. And yeah, we're just looking for any input from council on this.
Questions? Mayor Gandam.
Can we just make, when we're doing the budget dates, that we set aside like 4 days from the beginning instead of 2 and then adding days as we go along? I'd rather give somebody back a day than to try to get everybody together.
We can do that.
Sue, I have a question as far as the assessment. Is it possible, feasible to be able to, and I guess has direction been given from council to do a larger reassessment of the community?
Through the chair to the committee, no, we have not been given that direction. There was discussion around it.
Yep.
Barb did get some costs from the assessor, and that is something that we could look at. The other thing we are looking at this year, one of the directions we did get was to look at bringing it in-house and what that cost would be. So we will be reviewing that this year before, because we did, I believe, Barb, correct me if I'm wrong, we only approved the assessor's contract for 1 year.
Thank you. Anything else? Perfect. Item 3C, information to be corrected.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to be presenting this one as well. So at previous council meeting, when we had the open house for the MCC, there was a lot of people that spoke, and there was some misinformation that came forward. Council had directed administration to go through the comments and correct that misinformation. So we do have a couple of items specifically around finance and where funds were going to that we're still looking into. So I have left a couple of those just still under investigation. But we have provided the answers to all of the questions within the document. And I certainly do not think you want me to read through them, but we would be open to any questions that you might have.
Questions? None? As far as some of the investigations that are being, what sort of timeline do you think will be before we'll have some of that information?
To the chair, we were pushing really hard to try and get the answers in right now. I think finalizing the year end, which the team, I think, last week just got everything finalized, was going to be part of that key. So now they need to go back and investigate what was told. So I know there's been, I think, 2 different answers given to something like this. So we really wanted to make sure that we had someone dig in deep and be able to answer those questions and show through documentation why we came to the results that we did. And so I anticipate, Barb, do you have an estimate, like next council meeting, the meeting after? Your mic.
by next council meeting, we should be able to provide some information on it.
Okay.
And this information, will this be put on the webpage, or is it just, this is the public document that's going to be shown, or are we going to do anything more as far as communicating this information to, so the community understands?
Yeah, so it's on the web page right now through the agenda, and then we do have a separate MCC page, so we could put that on there as well.
Thank you. Anything further? Anything? Thank you. Councillor Nielsen.
Sorry. I'd be happy to. We've had 3 agenda items, and during those 3 agenda items, we've thrown out MDP, PBB, CPI, MPI, CBP, and MCC. And if I was an average community listener, I wouldn't have a clue what we just talked about. And again, if we want to be transparent and help our community understand what we're talking about, a simple explanation of what some of these acronyms are as we enter into some of these conversations might be helpful to the millions who are listening around the world. Thank you.
Sue.
Through the chair to Councillor Nielsen, staff assume that the public are reading the packages, and in the packages we have them spelled out, so we could, I could chat with staff and we could try, I know I'm the worst offender, but we could try to spell them out when we're speaking as well.
And I'm only one of 6 to 7 people on council. Other people may feel quite comfortable with all these acronyms.
Anything further? Wow. Yes, Councillor Abbott.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say thank you for the misinformation document, for I think all of us, the work that had to be put into it. As staff and council gets told lots of things, and then the work we have to go back in to show that we are doing our best, I think, as a whole, to represent the community the best everybody can. So thank you for that work.
Well, with that, then I will adjourn the meeting, and we'll commence at 1 o'clock for regular council.
Next week we get